Have you ever just looked around and felt like life is just happening to you? You know, that your own happiness and even all the big problems in the world are totally out of your hands. Well, what if I told you that ancient wisdom points to one single source for all of it? A starting point that you, and only you, have complete control over. It's this incredibly powerful idea that our thoughts don't just shape our mood, they literally build our destiny. I mean, just look around us. It's on the news every single night, right? Conflict between nations. But it's closer than that, isn't it? It's often right in our own homes. That tension between a husband and wife, those arguments between brothers and sisters, that painful gap that can grow between parents and their children. It seems like conflict is just the constant background noise of our lives. But why? So naturally, when we see all this conflict, our first reaction is to focus on the outcome. We complain about how things are, we worry about our relationships, but the wisdom we're looking at today offers a fantastic metaphor. Imagine you're in a field and all the rice stalks are growing crooked. Would you fix the problem by yelling at the stalks? Of course not, right? That's useless. And yet, that's exactly what we do when we only focus on the results of the world's problems. And this quote right here, it just nails it. It shows a huge difference in thinking. See, the confused person is trapped by the results, the broken relationships, the chaos. They live in fear of those crooked stalks. But the enlightened person, they look deeper. They fear the cause. They're asking, wait a minute, what's making these stalks grow crooked in the first place? And that leads us to the real question. What is the root cause of all our conflict? According to the ancient teachings we're exploring, the root of it all, the fundamental cause, is found in one single place: our thoughts. The ideas we allow to grow in our minds are the very beginning of everything that happens next. And it's not just a vague idea, it's a chain reaction, a sequence. It all starts with a thought. That thought then leads to an action. You repeat that action enough times, and guess what? It becomes a habit. And our habits, well, they forge our character. And our character, that's what determines our destiny. It's a perfect, unbroken chain. And it all starts from that one tiny seed, a single thought. Okay, so if thought is the cause, what's the big, problematic thought pattern in our world today? It really boils down to this: the self-centered mindset. The idea that I come first, my needs, my wants. This way of thinking always leads to prioritizing personal gain, which then just escalates from competition to struggle and eventually to war. It's that me-first thinking that's fueling so much of the conflict we see everywhere. So to make this feel a little more real, let's do a quick thought experiment. I want you to imagine I hand you a bar of your absolute favorite chocolate right now. Be really honest with yourself. Who is the very first person you think of? Do you think of sharing it at all? In a lecture this was based on, the speaker got 3 very different answers from 3 different age groups. The 30-year-old, his first thought was for himself. The 40-year-old, she thought of her child. But the 60-year-old, her very first immediate thought was for her own parents. Now just think about that for a second. Which one of these responses truly shows a deep cultural and moral cultivation? The answer might surprise you. You know, we tend to think that education, especially a university education, automatically means someone is cultured or has a good character. But let's really think about this. If someone has a PhD, but they treat their own parents with disrespect, can we really honestly say they're cultured? This question forces us to look past the surface, beyond just academic achievements. And this right here is the heart of it. True culture isn't about what's hanging on your wall in a frame. It's revealed in our most spontaneous, gut-level thoughts. It's about whether our first instinct is for ourselves or for others. That one little thought about a piece of chocolate, it can reveal more about our true character than a degree ever could. So this brings us to a really critical question, especially for parents, but really for all of us. How do these thought patterns even get there in the first place? Well, when we raise our children, we're basically faced with a choice every day. Are we nurturing their desires, or are we nurturing their virtue? Just look at the difference here. On one side, we have nurturing desire. We say things like, if you get good grades, I'll buy you a new phone. This teaches a child to constantly ask, what's in it for me? On the other side, we have nurturing virtue. We teach that studying hard is their responsibility. It's their duty, a way to show respect for the family. One path grows selfishness and entitlement. The other path grows a deep sense of responsibility and care for others. And the consequences of choosing the wrong path, they can be absolutely devastating.
The source material shares two real-world examples that are frankly chilling. First, a high school student who demanded designer clothes as payment for passing his exams. And then a truly tragic story of a 13-year-old child who murdered his own parents for insurance money, just so he could buy a mobile phone. This is the horrifying endpoint of a path that only nurtures desire.
So, when we see all these huge challenges in the world and in our own families, the question is, where do we even begin? And the answer is both incredibly simple and profoundly difficult. We can't change the world out there until we are willing to change the world in here. The real work has to start with us.
This is the key takeaway. Real, lasting change is an inside-out job. If we want a world with less conflict, more peace, more harmony, we have to start by fixing the root cause. We have to consciously, deliberately, choose the thoughts we allow to take root and grow in our own minds.
And so that leaves us with a question. Every single thought you have today is a seed. It could be a seed of selfishness, or it could be a seed of compassion, a seed of conflict, or a seed of peace. As you go about the rest of your day, just watch the thoughts that come up and ask yourself, what kind of world am I planting right now, in this moment?
If you found this explainer helpful, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our next one. Thank you so much for joining me.